A YouTube quick question. Do you think if Gabourey Sidibe was light skinned or biracial, do you think that she would receive the criticism that she receives regarding her looks? And for those of you who aren't familiar or you may not recognize the name, Gabourey Sidibe is the name of the actress who played Precious in the movie Precious. Oftentimes, some people will even just call her Precious. They won't even call her by her real name because they associate her with that role so much. But, this is something that I've thought about, that's kind of popped into my head um, on occasions. Like, when criticism of her would come up, you know, as far as like how she looks. But, think about it for a minute. Think about all of the criticism that people have of Gabourey Sidibe. You know, even the weight. Honestly, if she was just light, had a light skin tone, or she was biracial, had, that light skin tone, do you think that she would receive the same amount of criticism that she receives? I personally, I don't personally think so. I think that it would be less. She may still receive some criticism, honestly, but I think that the criticism that she would receive would be a lot less. People probably will still have something to say about the weight, but I think people go by like the weight and also the skin tone because like Gabourey is like really dark. So I think for some people, I think the weight plus the really dark skin tone really it doesn't connect well with them mentally. So they view it as something like really negative, right? Versus if she was lighter skinned and still the same weight, it may not be like a negative connection. It's like, they may still have some issues with her weight, but it still wouldn't be exactly the same thing, though. Like people wouldn't react to it the exact same way that they do. And a lot of this criticism does come from people in the black community, you know. Um, Not to say that other communities have not criticized, because I think they may have, but it's seemingly the most vocal tends to be the black community, especially black men, especially monoracial, brown skin, dark skin, black men leading this charge. And I do feel like skin tone has a lot to do with this, although they won't admit it. They will they will go to the end of the earth before they admit it. All right. They don't want to admit that that is a factor in why they view Gabourey Sidibe the way that they do. You know. But, if Gabourey Sidibe was light skinned, I'm not sure if she would have been cast in the role of Precious. Think about it. Because they wanted a specific look for that role, for Precious. They purposely chose Gabourey Sidibe because of her weight and her dark skin tone in that role. You know, because think about it. Usually, when it comes to casting for black women in Hollywood, a lot of times they tend to want to ignore like that the majority of black women are brown skin and dark skin and go for like the biracial light skin types. But notice, when it's like something that when the woman ain't being glamorized, ain't being uplifted for being beautiful, etc. Right? When they want something that's more negative, they go for the dark skinned black woman. Not all the time, honestly. It's not all the time, but you do notice that though. Because you got your Lupitas, your Viola Davises, your Tika Sumters out there. You know. But I think when it comes to Gabourey Sidibe, I think the weight and her having really dark skin plays a negative role in how people portray her. All right, it plays a role in how people portray her. Well, how people view her, I should say. And I guess how they portray her in the media too, you know, in the roles that she has too. But of course, you know that not many people are going to want to admit this, right? Let's be honest, because it's going to come off as if they admit it, then they'll have to admit to a whole lot more, and they're not going to do that. It's like white people and racism. Like, you notice they tend to not want to admit to certain things because they know if they admit to one thing, then they'll have to admit to another thing and another thing, and it turns into like a whole chain reaction of admitting to things because it's all connected. You know, it's all connected. But that's all I have for the moment. Thanks for watching. Leave your comments. Leave your comments in the comment section below. Adios and goodbye for now.